Hello, it's June Olson with Junebug Creations, independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator coming to you live from Whitefish, Montana. And today is Friday the 13th, woo! My favorite day of the year. Any month that it happens in, I am excited because it is a lucky day for me. And today started off with a bang, a good kind of bang. So anyways, I love it. And it's been a great day, so I want to share some coloring tips with you. I want to show you the difference between the Stampin' blends and the coloring pencils, the watercolor pencils. I talked about them earlier in my post today, and so now I want to show you them in action because that's really how you can tell the difference. Without using them, without doing it, you just can't tell. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to color them, but I've already made the cards because I do have a time limit and I don't want to go too far over, and so I want to make sure to have it done. So the cards are already pre-made. I'm just going to show you the coloring of the Stampin' blends and the watercolor pencils, and that way I can then you can see the difference between the two. So let's go ahead and get started. All right. Hello, Missy. Glad to have you on here. All right, so we have our watercolor pencils. There's two different kinds. Not kinds. There's two different sets. There's the larger set that has a bunch of colors, and then the smaller set. So this one, I think this one has 13, and this one has, yeah, this has 13, and then this has another 10. All right, so these are the watercolor pencils that we have. I love, love, love the pencils, and it really just depends on the look that you're going for. With the pencils, and these are the colors that I'm using, with the pencils, you also need to use the blending brushes, not blending brushes, blender pens. And blender pens come in a pack of 3, and they're double-ended, so you get 6 ends. And there's a way to rejuvenate the ends so you don't have to throw them away. You can just keep reusing them for a while. They don't dry out super fast. It's been a while since I've rejuvenated them, but today when I was coloring, I realized, oh, it's time to rejuvenate them. So to catch how to do that, you're gonna have to come find me over on Junebug Creations here on Facebook and YouTube, and then you'll be able to find out how to rejuvenate your blender pens so that they stay nice and juicy and continue to work. But these go together, and so I'm using also the same colors of colored pencils and Stampin' blends so that you can see the difference. So I wanted to compare apples to apples, if you want to go with the proverbial way of saying that. So now Stampin' blends come in sets of 2. You have a dark one and a light one, and that is hard to see. It's easier to see with this. So you have the dark, I have the sun shining in my window. You have the dark one and the light one. You need to check yours for rejuvenation. Yeah, even if you're not sure if they need it, it doesn't hurt to do it. And I'll be doing that next week on my page. So these are the dark and light. This is the Melon Mambo, and I have the Melon Mambo colored pencil. And then we have the Fresh Freesia, and I have the Fresh Freesia colored pencil. And then I have here the light black, basic black, and here I just have the black. And then I have here the dark Daffodil Delight and the Daffodil Delight pencil. And then I have the Pecan Pie and the light Pecan Pie Stampin' blend. So I'm going to start with the pencils, and then you can use the Memento Black. Now, if you're doing a lot of watercoloring where you're really getting the paper sopping wet, you do not want to use the Memento ink because it is water-based and it will then run and bleed into your color. So if you're using the water painters or anything like that, you don't want to use the Memento. You want to instead use the StazOn Black. But we aren't using, these are not sopping wet, so it doesn't blend into it and it works. And then you definitely want to use the Memento with your Stampin' blends because they're alcohol blend inks, and so they don't pull in the color. If you use the StazOn, which is alcohol ink, and this, then it will run. So the Memento goes definitely with the Stampin' blends. The Memento can go with the watercolor pencils and the blender pens, but when you use watercolor brushes where you get a lot more water, you don't want to use the Memento. The stamp set we're going to be using today is Everyday Thanks. This is a great one for teachers. We're doing the pencil one today. For coaches, anyone who uses a whistle, okay, anyone who has a siren, doctor, school nurse, anything like that. So it says thank you for everything you do, or just a plain thanks. The other thing we're going to be using is I pulled out some paper, some DSP Designer Series paper, the Delightfully Eclectic Designer Series paper. You can see I've been using lots of it. There's 48 sheets. This is a thick pad of paper, and there's 48 sheets. So there's 12 different designs. There's 4 of each design. All right, let me just show you. This is the one I'm using because to me it looked, you know, like perfect with a pencil. And then the back side is that. Then you have these, and the sun. I tried to block the sun. I have to put up some curtains over that window because it shines in. The strawberries and the plaid, and then we have these patterns and the heart, and then we have, it missed one. There we go. The lemons and the letters. Then you have stripes and daisies, pretzels and flowers, more flowers. Why are these skipping? Here we go. Stripes and dots, dots and flowers, little X's. And then we have the swans and the squiggly line, and then we have our more flowers. So great set of paper. Let me bring over my white. Now, when you're using Stampin' blends, you definitely need to have something underneath it because it will bleed through, all right? But for the watercolor pencils, you don't have to, and we're going to be using the pencil. Let me go ahead and zoom in here so you can see what I'm doing a little better. All right, so first thing, hello. But that's a fun set of paper. Yes, that's a really fun set of paper. Oil and water don't mix. No, oil and water do not mix. So you definitely, the alcohol ink does not mix with the alcohol water. All right, so I'm gonna just set that there, and I'm holding it there for a minute just so it can really soak into the paper and get a really good dark stamping. And I'm just tapping it on here. You can also rub it this way. You just want to get it really on there. And then I'm going to hold it down. And there we go. All right. So now I got to turn it around this way. I'm going to use my colored pencils. All right. And so we're just going to color. And I'm going to color it kind of dark because I want it to be, you know, the erasers. This is Melon Mambo. The erasers are typically a pretty good pink. So I'm going to go ahead and press hard. You don't have to press hard. It just depends on how bold you want your color to be. So there's our eraser. I'm going to, instead of gold, I'm going to use the yellow, the Daffodil Delight, for the gold. That's usually right there. And I'm going pretty dark with that as well. For the lead, I'm going to use the black. I started to use the gray, but then it lightened up too much. And then for the pencil, the wood part of it, I'm using a pecan pie because I was trying to make sure I had the same color as pencils as Stampin' blends. So we're just going to lightly, and this one I'm doing lighter because, you know, pencils aren't typically too dark. So I don't want it too dark. And the blender pen will fill in any of the white spaces. And then because I love purple, I'm using Fresh Freesia for the pencil, for the wood part. And this one I want a bolder color, so I am going to go a little bit darker and push down a little bit more. Typically, it just like any colored pencils, the more you push down and go over it, the darker it's going to be. So it's the same. You color the same as you would with any other pencils. The only difference is that when you apply some water, then it looks like you water painted them, and so it softens it up. So I want to go ahead and have some good stark color here. And I do short lines with pencil coloring. How do you color? Do you color, when you color, what do you use to color? Do you use markers? Do you use colored pencils? Do you use crayons? I still like using crayons. It just depends on what I'm coloring. So there I have it, a lot darker. And now I'm going to pull out one of my blender pens. So let me just show you up close how that looks. It looks like colored pencil, right? You can see the little lines and everything. It looks like you colored with colored pencil. So now when you take this and you just run it over that, and then you clean it off over here, all right? And then I'm going to pull that together, and you can see I'm going to hold it up halfway through. You can see the difference. All right, see the difference between the one that is wet on the right and on the left that's not. And so it just pulls the colors together and blends them, hence the name blender pen. All right, and it just fills it in. And then again, I want to color it over here. Then I'm going to go ahead and do the yellow. And that one's not as noticeable, but you can see you got to clean the yellow. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the eraser. And this, with this, I go in circular motions. All right. And brush strokes. So it just depends. Mostly, I guess, brush strokes. So there you can see how it pulled it together. Let's see, is it gonna, there we go. Focused. All right, and again, I want to clean it. And then this one I'm doing, again, short strokes. I guess I don't do circular with this. I do short strokes. So again, let me just show you part ways through. You can see the difference between the parts that's blended and the parts that aren't. It's not focusing, is it? Is that more focused? There we go. There we go. There it's focused. All right. And so then short strokes, and we will fill this in. All right. And then clean the brush over there. All right. So there it is now as a pencil, and it's all brush stroked in. You love the watercolor pencils? I do too. I really do too. Oh, and now it's not focused down here, so I guess I have to shift. Okay, so let's go ahead and do then in the blender pen, excuse me, the Stampin' blends. So we're going to start with the black again for the lead. That's done. We don't have to do anything else. And then I'm going to go up here to the yellow. And this is the Daffodil Delight. And I used the dark one. And then we'll go with the light pumpkin pie for the wood. And I am doing short strokes. Typically I do circles with this, but I'm doing short strokes because I want it to look like the wood, okay? So I have a little bit of that there. All right, and you can see how it's much darker and fills it in. Then we're going to go with the light and dark. So we're going to start with the dark and then go over it with the light. So with the dark, I'm just going to outline what I'm going to be coloring in. And I'm using the this tip. I can't remember what it's called. It's not really ballpoint tip, but that tip. This end is a brush tip. Okay, and when you have larger things to color, you want to use the brush tip, but this is too small for that. So then I'm going to come along and I'm going to use the round tip again, and now I'm going to do that circular motion using this, and that way I am blending in that dark edge. All right, so you can see how that blends in like that. And then we'll do the same thing with this, with the fresh freesia. We're going to use our dark to go down a line and outline it. And then we'll fill it in with our light. All right. So you use the dark kind of to outline and create shadow, although with the pencil we don't really need shadow. All right, and then we'll take this and we'll do our circular motions and blend the two colors together. All right, there we go. And so I tend to do circular motions with this. Bringing a little bit of that color down and in. All right, here we go. All right, so now you can see the difference. Let me fix that, focus on that, there we go. You can see the difference between the pencil and the Stampin' blends. The Stampin' blends are just a bolder color because it is an alcohol marker, and this is a little bit of a softer color. All right, but you can see that they both color well, they fill in well, and the nice thing is you can, if you like coloring with pencils, if you prefer coloring with pencils versus marker, then you can still get the full-on look with the blender pen. And of course, if you have scenery or images like that, then it's a lot easier to use the blender pen. It's not as bold. Now just take note, this is why we needed to have, oops, here we go. This is why we needed to have paper down, because it will bleed through. It will bleed through. I don't know, that light is not hitting where I thought it would. All right, so instead of having you watch me cut these out, I have the cards here. So we have the thank you right here, thank you for everything you do. And then on this one with the blender pen, thank you for everything you do. So these two cards will go into the batch along with all these others. So make sure that you're writing down your magic word, and your magic word for today is color. All right, so your magic word for today is color. And you can see then these two pencils, the watercolor pencil and the Stampin' blends. So thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate having you here. And make sure you have those magic words written down. So I will be back here tomorrow, except I'm going to be back here later in the afternoon. I think it's like 4:30, about 4:30 Mountain Time, so 6:30 Eastern, because I have an event that I'm taking part in that is all morning long. So after that is over, then I will come on and do a live, and we're going to do another comparison. Tomorrow we're going to do a comparison of blending brushes and daubers. So take a look at that, and I will see you back here tomorrow. Or come join me tonight for Ghouls Night Out, either on YouTube, Junebug Creations 29, or on Facebook, Junebug Creations 29. If you want those links, ask me for them down below, and I'll be happy to do that. Remember also, we have the Join special going on, either 35% off or 35% more. If you need more information, you can put 35 down below. Paper Pumpkin is Christmas. Make sure you get subscribed for that. If you have questions, put PP down below for Paper Pumpkin. And then of course tomorrow is the deadline for registering for the kit class, the Christmas kit class with the alternates. So have a great rest of your Friday. I trust I see you tonight at Ghouls Night Out. Otherwise, I will see you tomorrow afternoon. See you next time.